Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, let's jump right in, shall we? Today, we're cracking open a really specific, absolutely crucial legal rulebook in business law, the Sale of Goods Act. But hey, don't worry, we're not going to try and tackle the entire document today. Instead, we're just going to zoom in on one massive fundamental concept, its strict scope. We're essentially going to build a giant fence around exactly what this act covers and honestly, just as importantly, what it totally keeps out.
Think about this for a second. Let's say you go to the corner store and grab a quick candy bar. Later that exact same day, you go out and buy, a two-story commercial office building. Does every single transaction you make fall under the exact same set of legal rules? You'd probably assume a sale is just a sale, right? Money changes hands, you get the thing. Well, the law literally loves to be hyper-precise. It sets up very, very specific boundaries for different types of transactions. It's kind of like a giant sorting system.
So, let's lay down a few foundational facts from our source material real quick. The Sale of Goods Act actually became its very own distinct thing way back on July 1, 1930. Fun fact, before that, these rules were basically jammed into a completely different act, but they eventually got separated out to stand on their own 2 feet. And today, this rulebook applies to the entire nation of India. Yep, the whole shebang, which explicitly includes the Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir as well as Ladakh.
Now, to actually wrap our heads around the exact scope of this act, we just need to look at its absolute biggest boundary. And let me tell you, it is incredibly strict. The very first rule of its scope basically tells us everything we need to know right out of the gate. It deals exclusively with the sale of movable goods. Honestly, that word right there, movable, that is the golden key to unlocking this entire topic.
So, what exactly counts as a good in the eyes of the law here? Well, under Section 2.7, the definition is crystal clear. It means every single kind of movable property. But, it actually goes a bit further and includes some things you might not immediately think of as traditional goods. We're talking about things like stocks and shares. It even includes growing crops, grass, and stuff attached to the earth, as long as it's agreed that they'll be severed or, cut off before the actual sale happens. A perfect example from the material is a standing crop of wheat. If a farmer sells that wheat to a merchant with a strict agreement that it's going to be harvested tomorrow, boom. Legally, that is considered a movable good covered by this act.
So, the crucial point here, and you definitely want to remember this, is distinguishing between the types of transactions themselves. The Sale of Goods Act is exclusively for a sale. If you're talking about mortgages or pledges, you are straight up in the wrong rulebook. Mortgages, those fall under the Transfer of Property Act. Pledges, those are handled by the Indian Contract Act. We are strictly talking about selling goods here, guys, not using them as security to get a loan.
And honestly, that brings us right to our next major boundary. Since we know this whole thing only covers movable goods, that means it absolutely 100% does not apply to immovable properties. You literally cannot use the Sale of Goods Act for the sale of a plot of land, a family house, or a giant office building. Basically, if you can't physically pick it up and move it, this specific act does not apply to the transaction, period.
All right, let's pull this all together. This brings us to the definitive list of what is strictly fenced out of this act, just so there is zero room for confusion. Here are the hard exclusions. Ready? No mortgages, no pledges, no immovable properties like land or buildings. And there are 2 more very specific things excluded right in the legal definition: actionable claims and money. That's right, you can't buy or sell standard currency under this act like it's a movable good. By knowing exactly what's left out, we perfectly define the boundaries of what's actually included.
Which brings us to a final little pop quiz to test out your new boundary building skills. Let's say you buy a brand new house and a shiny new car on the exact same afternoon. Does the Sale of Goods Act apply to both of them? Think about that rule of movable versus immovable property we literally just went over. Only the car fits inside our legal fence, right? The house is governed entirely by different laws. So, the very next time you buy something, I want you to ask yourself, is this property actually movable and am I actually buying it? Makes you wonder, what other everyday transactions might secretly fall way outside this legal fence?